Good morning. Come on in. Come on in. We're going to get started here in just a second and get the word out. There's always just a little bit of a delay, so I'm going to help some people find us this morning, and then we're going to get going. So there's that. And let's see. How about that? Good morning, chain breakers. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Tuesday, February the 18th, 2020, and this is going to be a fantastic day because that's the way I choose for my day to be. Hi, I'm Brad Smith. I am your host for Chain Breakers 365 Live and the creator of hashtag Uplift and Rise. I want to welcome you here today. We're going to get into some great topics this week. Kind of starting off today, we took yesterday off for President's Day. It was a company holiday for me, and honestly, I just needed the rest, but we're back at it today. We're going to go through it, and hopefully we're going to bring some real value to you today. Good morning, Nat Banks and Laura Berman. Glad you're both in here this morning. I see some others are starting to roll on in, but we're going to go ahead and get started. Today, what the topic of today was our environment and our reactions. You see, because we are made up of exactly that. You see, a lot of times people would say we're made up of the ingredients that go in, but that's not necessarily the case. You see, in a lot of cases, what you'll find is that based on environment, many times what happens is something else different completely comes out. Think about an egg, for instance, right? If we were to crack and open an egg, what we're going to end up with is we're going to end up with the yolk, the egg white, and that kind of stuff, right? But if we were to put that egg into a boiling pot of water, what's going to happen? It's going to get hard, right? Now we're going to end up with a hard-boiled egg at that point still, but it's still going to be different than what it was before because circumstances or the environment changed it. At the same time, if we think of, we could think of some vegetables, right? We could think of like a green bean. A green bean is hard in itself or has some firmer characteristics. How about even spaghetti? Very al dente, very stiff. If you were trying to bend it, it was going to break. But we put it in hot water, and what happens there? There it comes out soft. So those happen as an impact of the environment. My wife is a fan of some cooking shows. In a lot of cases, it's kids in cooking shows. And they may be talking about making a cake or making cupcakes in something. But sometimes if they fail to they may put it in, they may fix it with the exact same ingredients, they may put it in the oven for the exact same amount of time and for the exact same temperature. But because the environment that they're cooking it in changed, the result they got changed too. Sometimes it was too dry, sometimes it wasn't done, right? So it happened as a result in the environment. But here's something else that can happen. We can change our environment. We don't have to choose to be in that hot water. We don't have to choose to be in our container. We don't have to choose to be in the lane that we're in. See, we're not only a composition of the environment that we've been brought up in, that we have spent our time in, but we're also a product of the choices we have made. You see, there's a lot of times that we can take two brothers growing up in exactly the same family. They can be identical twins. But even though the environment we're brought up in can be identically the same at home, there are different things that have confronted us every single day that forced us to make choice. So you see, what ends up happening is the greatest impact we have on who we become is the choice we make, right? The choice we make totally determines our reactions. Our reactions determine who we are. You see, two brothers, identical in their upbringing. Let's say, okay, and I'm not talking about anybody in particular, but let's say two brothers were brought up in an abusive environment. One grows up to be an absolute addict, right? Abusive to their family, can't get off their addiction, right? Struggles their entire life. And we ask them why their life turned out the way it did. Their response is, what did you expect? I grew up in this environment. Another brother in the same family turns out to be a fantastic success, a great success in business, in his community, with his family and everything else. Same family, two different brothers. But you ask them what was the rationale for their success, and what do they tell you? What did you expect? It was a matter of what I was brought up in. I wasn't about to make the same choice and be there where they were. You see, how we react to those same key environmental type things, it's still our choice that determines who we're going to be, that determines the masterpiece of our life, that determines the road we're going to take. You see, when we're in our car, we're driving down the road. I have been in the exact same place, and you know what? Sometimes I'll put Google Maps in, even though I know exactly where I'm going, because I like to know what it says it's going to take, how long it takes before I get there. So if something comes up, I know how close to being on schedule I am. But here's what happens sometimes, is sometimes I've been in those situations and it's been a long way away, and what I end up finding is Google Maps will reroute me. And I look at it and go, no, I'm not about to go that way. That is a very long way. I'm not about to go there. What I don't know is Google Maps is trying to prepare me because ahead of me, there's been a wreck that totally shut down the interstate. So you see, my environment changed because Google Maps told me to do something. But I chose not to respond. I chose to ignore it and continue to do what I knew anyhow. And because of that, I ended up late. Now, other times, I've absolutely listened, and it's still gotten me there on the time that it said it would. You see, we're still a factor of the choice that we make. When we get to where we're going to get to, how we choose to arrive, and the way we choose to arrive is totally up to us. Here's the great part. It does not matter where you are. You have a choice every single day. Every single day you have a choice of what you're going to listen to, a choice of what you're going to live with, a choice of the environment you're in. You can be in a negative position, and as a result, it's going to force you to make choice that's going to push you to make other decisions to try to get out. But here's the other part. Sometimes you make a choice to stay in the same lane, right? To keep going where you're going, to ignore all the other signals around you, and what you find out is that you're in a jam. You see, sometimes everything in life is going so wonderfully that we choose to keep going the same way. We choose to keep following the map the way we know that road goes, right? Where we think we know what's going to happen. But in a lot of cases, our environment has changed around us, and by ignoring the signals, we find out that we end up worse off than what we thought we would. My company made a very dramatic choice. Even though we dominate in the market in which we're in, there was a shift in the market. And as a result, we were in a lane that, had we stayed there, would have kept dwindling over time. But because we chose to examine where we are, we realized that that was not where the Google Maps was leading us, right? It was not where the market was really leading us. So if we wanted to be able to adapt, to evolve, to change, and to continue to be successful, we had to change our navigation. We had to change and evolve with who we are and who we want to become. You see, my friends, the only reason I bring it isn't up to talk about my company. It's to talk about us. Because we have the same choices every day. We can continue to go down the road that's comfortable, that we know where it's going to be. But in many cases, what we find is we get different results. We get different results because unknowns to us, our environment changed. The circumstances around us changed. The market changed, right? The environment in which we're in changed. You see, sometimes we can go through the exact same things. This happens a lot this time of year. You can follow the map. You can follow your timeline. You can follow what you know works and works well for you. But suddenly the weather changes. And as a result, the rush hour changes, or the amount of traffic around in the rush hour changes. Other people make decisions as well. But what you end up finding out is that what you expected isn't what's happening, because circumstances around you continue to change. You see, my friends, if we're not continuing every single day to make choice and evolve because of those choices, what we find is we're also making a choice to either adapt and be successful or remain the same and fall farther behind. Every day when we wake up, we have the choice of how we're going to react to the day. We have the choice of whether we're going to jump up and we're going to realize that we're already behind the 8 ball. I didn't sleep well. I overslept. I'm in a grumpy mood because of all these other things, and now I'm behind the 8 ball and I'm rushing all day long. You can choose to be there, or you can choose to sit back and go, okay, that's now behind me. I am where I am. I'm going to make the choice based on what I am, where I am, and what happens, I will adapt and evolve with it. Or we can also anticipate where our life is going and make choices to either go toward it, or if that's not where we want to be, then we can maneuver and go around or detour around the problem. You see, every day that choice is there for us. Every day we can choose to adapt and evolve, or we can choose to be a factor or result of our circumstances. Are you going to be a victim to your circumstances, or are you going to be a masterpiece as a result of the choices you make? You see, every single day you have that choice. Every single day you have the choice of whether you're going to be positive or whether you're going to be negative. Whether you're going to base your foundation on gratitude or base your foundation on your circumstances. You see, every day we have that choice of how we're going to react. Every day we can choose to keep looking at the positive and therefore see possibility, or we're going to continue to react negatively, and as a result, all we see is more negative things coming at us. Every day we have that choice. Every hour we have that choice. Every minute we have that choice. Yes, this week is going to be about choice, because choice ends up affecting everything. Whether we choose to stay the same, whether we choose to stay on the couch and not make a decision, we're still making a choice. Our life is filled with choices, whether we realize it or not. The question is, what choice are you going to make today? Are you going to choose to evolve and change, and if so, which way? What are you going to choose to focus on? Or are you going to choose to be a victim to your circumstance? I want to thank you for being here today. Again, this is one of a series we're going to do this week. It's all on choice. But I want to thank you, and there's a lot of people that jumped in after my early morning greeting, and I want to be sure to say hi, good morning, and thank you. Especially to my wife. She is upstairs. She's not in the other room. She's making choices today. But we'll see how that turns out for her and what choices she continues to make. Bobette Lowe, good morning. I'm glad you're here. D. Garden, I'm glad you're here. Joe Sewell, thanks for jumping in and joining us. Adam Glassstack, I'm glad you're here as well. Valley Shelby, I'm glad you're here. Susan Byerly, great for joining in. Ross Benenato, hey, I think this may be the first time you're here, or Joe, I think this may be the first time you're here, and I'm glad you're here. My friends, if this video has been meaningful to you, or if you want to continue to see this series, join us each day this week, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at Chainbreakers 365. If you have trouble finding us live, you can join us on replay. You can find us on my YouTube channel, Chainbreakers 365. While you're there, do me a favor, go in and subscribe. Or you can go to my website, chainbreakers365.com. Either way, the best way to do it is still to join us here live. This becomes a community because of the choices we make. Thanks so much for being here. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for Chainbreakers 365 Live. Have an awesome day. Make good choices. Bye now.